Hello, it is 5 o'clock, so I'm calling to order the meeting of the Parks, Recreation, Human Services, and Public Safety Committee. I'm the chair, Jack Walsh, and we have here on the committee Susan Honda and Lydia Cefa-Dawson. We also have on the dais our council president, Linda Kochmar. Is there anybody else online with us? Nope. Okay, so that is it. So welcome, everyone. We will begin with public comment. I understand that
Could I add something to the agenda?
Yeah. First off, we have a item to add to the agenda. Yes.
I would like to add, should the city council approve the senior center's request for $30,000 and put it right between B and C?
All right. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously. That item will be right after item B. And so, all right. So let's go ahead with the public comment.
Okay, the first person is Tom Stewart.
All right. Tom, go ahead to the,
Comment now or?
but it'd be now. Be now. So just go up to the dais and you have 3 minutes. All yours.
I will do it within 3.
Also, while Tom's coming to the dais, I did like to recognize that Council Member McDaniel is also joined us.
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Tom Stewart, and I am a volunteer with the Federal Way Senior Center. We are coming here tonight to support the issue of restoring the funding to the Federal Way Senior Center in the amount of $30,000. Most of you, I am certain, are aware of the Federal Way Senior Center, and we certainly appreciate the opportunity to address you. The funding is primarily for our cook who provides nutritional meals. And I'd like to give you just a quick idea of what it is that the Senior Center does and why it is so important to our community. In brief, the Senior Center provides about 200 meals on 2 days a week, or 10,400 meals annually to seniors of our community, the majority of whom live within the incorporated area of the city of Federal Way. In addition to that, we have a food bank which last Thursday provided food to 200 different vehicles arriving at our facility, and 400 families each week, or a total of 20,800 people, are supplied with food by our food bank. We also collect donations from throughout the city of Federal Way, including Amazon Fresh, Costco, Food Lifeline, Fred Meyer, Trader Joe's, Winco, Safeway, and other organizations. Again, 30,000 pounds of food, so we're working hard to supplement the funding we receive from organizations like yours. The collected food includes bakery, canned foods, dried foods, dairy, fruits, vegetables, meat, non-food items such as diapers for children and those of us who are adults with incontinence issues, pet food, and other things that we distribute to people in need. We have a large number of people who are coming right now to our center because of the cold weather out there, and that other organizations may not be open during the cold weather, and our organization is. All of this is done or accomplished by 4 part-time staff and approximately 30 volunteers who each week come to our center and help with these various tasks. Everyone is welcome to our center. No one is turned away, nor do we discriminate in any way on the basis of need. If a person says they are in need, we accept that, and we try and address their needs. Our populations include, in addition to seniors, it also includes veterans, children, and others who come to our center. In conclusion, what I would like to say is we deeply appreciate all the support we have received in the past, Your support means that we stay open and that we serve these diverse populations. With that, I'd like to thank you and hope that you will approve this funding.
All right. Thank you very much, Tom. And we appreciate you and all of the volunteers there. Is there any more public comment?
The next person is David Berner.
Yes, David.
I don't know why it's not beeping at 30 seconds.
Some years ago, I stopped in the senior center there and began to become involved. And it seemed like I just became more and more and more involved. And now, as Tom mentioned, we service not only surplus food people, but we also have a group on Monday and Thursday that come in and play bingo. Tom probably didn't mention, but we have a lot of special need people that come in their walkers, they come in their wheelchairs, they're brought in by their handlers, and we service these people too, and we don't turn anybody away. So anyway, these people eat with us and are served the food that our cook would provide for us. So you can see that this money would be well used for our cook. By the way, she has been with us for many, many years and does a wonderful job. And so anyway, we thank you guys for your support, and we are there to help anyone. We don't turn anyone away for any reason, no matter what race, creed, or color. And so we appreciate the help that you're going to give us, hopefully. And so anyway, this is my little area. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Right. Any additional public comment?
The next person is Gerald Knutson.
Hello, welcome, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm Gerald Knutson, and I go by Jerry, but I know most of you. And I wanted to stop today. I just heard about this meeting tonight. I'm a Parks Commissioner, and I decided I should come to see one of these meetings because we had our meeting last week, and they said next week is this committee, which has Parks and Rec and Community Service, and I forget the other one. Anyway, so I wanted to come and just see what this committee did, and it's very nice that there's five council members here, and I know you make important decisions. The other thing is Tom Stewart's a good friend of mine, and he's also on the Historical Society board, and we were talking today, and I thought, well, I should come and support him. I've never been to the senior center. I've driven by it, but fortunately, I haven't had need for their services, and I keep busy without having to go over there and play bingo. And I met David, and he goes to our church on occasion. His granddaughter's a flute player. So I recognize, anyway, it's just nice to be here and to support the senior center and support people in our community. Thank you.
Right. And thank you for all that you do for the community. Right. Any more?
Yes, there is.
Wow, this is the most public comment we've had for for the committee. So,
The final person is Vicki Chenoweth.
all right, Vicki.
Hello, council members. Vicki Chenoweth. Most of you know me. Anyway, I'm here today. The senior center is that is a great cause, and I actually have a friend that was in need of Meals on Wheels, and I called the King County, and this is totally off subject, but I agree with them. It's a 6-month waiting period for Meals on Wheels in Federal Way, just so you all know. Anyway, what I came here today to talk about was it was brought to my attention about public art in public places, and 2% of the cities, when they build a building, 2% of that goes towards the arts. And so with the operation and maintenance facility, the art in public places was to get $810,000 or $810,444. Of that, the maintenance facility is going to build a concrete wall with this public money for the arts in the amount of $566,000. Now, that is not public art to me. And so that leaves the art to be commissioned at $244,000. So so the art, the wall that they're considering to be art is going to look like timbers. Now, if any of you've seen concrete, when they lay concrete, it's made with wood, so it has a wood grain in it. So it's going to just look like concrete. It's not going to be anything fancy. There's no fish going to be swimming across it, no trees, no mountains, no nothing, just a concrete wall. Of that, the art is going to be allotted 3 different places along that wall, and it's going to be, each place is going to be 70 to 100 feet, lineal feet, and then 8 foot tall. So of those 3 pieces, we're going to have $244,000 to put that art there. So I just want to also comment that art is, that $244,000 goes not only towards the art, it goes towards the artist, it goes towards getting the art here and there, it goes towards everything. So it's not just the piece of art for $244,000 divided by 3. So in here, the city itself says, art in public places means any expression by an artist of visual works of art available to the public in open city-owned facilities in areas designated as public areas. Also, the public is not actually getting to vote on what the art's going to be. It's going to be 2 arts commissioners, and the rest are city employees. So I think that needs to be changed, the concrete wall, and who is getting to vote on the art. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki.
Well, the next question is, who's making these decisions? Is it the mayor? Is he bypassing committee? What's going on?
Yeah. Maybe John can shed some light on that.
I can speak to it a little bit. I'm not 100% vetted, but this Public Works, along with Arts Commission, along with Parks Department, over that is a part of the team that has decided. I'm not positive on the breakdown of staff. I do not attend the Arts Commission meeting, and I'm not fully briefed on that at this point. But there is representation from the Arts Commission, and there's some design work that goes into that wall, so.
Okay.
I think we should get a report on that.
Yes, yes.
That'll
Good.
come probably from Desiree Winkler in Public Works.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so if we can,
So
how's that, and Susan, go ahead.
I attended the Art Commission meeting last week because I knew this was being presented. If you remember, when we talked about this building, I brought up the public art many times to make sure that that was still in the plan. And at that point, staff did mention that they wanted to build a fence with the public art money. And I remember saying numerous times that the fence shouldn't be built with public art money. Public art money can be used for functional art, and a fence can be functional art. But to have already made that decision without having any input into spending this money, to me is an issue. I've been on several public art committees, 2 for both the libraries, for 2 elementary schools, and I was on the end stages of the public art for the community center. And the community center public art group was the Arts Commission. So not only am I concerned that there's really only $244,000 out of $810 to spend on public art, and that includes the artist, it includes getting the art here, it includes installing the art. I'm not sure that's really not a lot of money. But I'm concerned that we're not having enough folks on this committee. I believe it should be more than the 2 arts commissioners, and I believe they also said they'd have a parks commissioner on it, but I think we definitely need more people. We need less staff on it and more volunteers on it, in my opinion. And it sounds like to me that there's going to be heavy on the staff and really light on the volunteers.
Right. I'm going to request that our next meeting, which actually will not be until, we will not be having a Parks Commission meeting in March, because we'll be in DC then. But I'm going to request that in our April meeting, that we receive a report from Public Works on that. And I don't know, I mean, with the progress that's been being made there, I mean, do you think that there's a need for a report sooner than that, if there needs to be? So maybe, Council President, if you wanted to bring that up for our council meeting agenda, then, since there won't be a Parks Commission meeting for 2 months.
I can do that. So it's not going to be an item on the agenda, so, I was thinking more of getting a report from, I don't think there's.
Okay, yeah.
John, what would you suggest? I don't think there's any hurry, is my point.
That's completely up to you, of whether it's a hurry or not. It could wait until April, or it could go earlier if that's your desire, to put it on a city council agenda.
Maybe if we could get a
it
report emailed to the council.
Yeah, I think that'd be appropriate. Get it,
And within the
have
next
discussion here
2 or
first.
3 weeks, and so that we can review it and then make a determination of whether it be on the next Parks
So-
Committee meeting or something sooner.
You got dates.
On the deadline, so they have the RFP attached to this. On the deadline, the request for qualifications will be May 10th, which means that I think we probably need to be talking about this as a council before April.
Yeah, okay.
I'll ask to have it, it can't be on the next one, it'll have to be the next one after that agenda.
Okay,
Okay.
yes.
So
Yeah.
I would imagine, let's see, that won't go on business, so it'd be an information item,
Right,
basically.
right. So, okay. All right, thank you, Vicki.
For clarity, Chair, do you want a written email from Desiree prior, or do you just want to wait till council and get the full report?
I think it'd be good to have a written email from her prior, so that we're informed when the report is before the council.
I'll let Desiree know. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. Do we have more public comment?
No, you do not.
Okay, all right. Thank you, all of you, for providing the public comment. That is appreciated, and it does make a difference. Let's go on to item B. El Centro de la Raza has a presentation. Mr. Miguel Maestas.
We have to vote on the minutes.
Oh, excuse me. Getting the cart ahead of the horse. Minutes, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I have a question on the minutes.
Okay.
Under I, it says report on PAC operations. It talks about General Manager Winters presenting her information as she does, and we appreciate that. But then the next paragraph is Joe McAlleran, principal of JM Arts Consulting, gave a presentation. That wasn't necessarily a report on the PAC operations, that was a separate item, I thought. So I think maybe we should add another letter and have that corrected so that that's its own item.
Okay.
Is that possible, Mary?
Should we do a motion and then a motion to amend the,
It was my recollection that we treated his presentation just as falling under the umbrella of the PAC presentation. So I don't know if we do need to amend as a separate item, but if the council wants to, we can, but I don't know if that's necessary.
I guess my question is it, Susan, is it consequential whether it's a separate item or not?
To me, it was a separate item because it wasn't even presented by General Manager Winters, but it was by Autumn. To me, it was a different item.
I don't think the
There
committee
wasn't on the
amended the
agenda.
agenda, though, either to add it specifically, so I,
No, we didn't add it to the agenda. We didn't know it was happening.
Yeah, that's,
So you're okay with it? Okay,
yeah, okay.
then you can
Right.
make the motion.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from January 14th, 2024 as written,
25.
2025 as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
I second. Any further discussion? No, okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 I'm going to say nay,
Okay,
just
so,
because.
all right, so we have,
Standing on my principles.
okay. We have 2 ayes and a nay. All right, very well. Now, Mr. Maestas, item D, El Centro de la Raza.
All right, well, thank you so much, honorable council members, for the opportunity to come and share and give an update on the work happening at El Centro. Let's see, had a PowerPoint.
Yeah, I think that we need somebody from IT to help, or Autumn to the rescue.
All right, once again, thank you so much for the opportunity to come and present. Again, my name is Miguel Maestas. I'm the Associate Director at El Centro de la Raza. Our Executive Director, Stella Ortega, sends her apologies. She just had some other priorities, couldn't make it, just super busy, but she says hi to everyone and sends her apologies. So again, presenting from El Centro de la Raza, the Center for People of All Races. And this last October, we celebrated our 52nd anniversary. So been around for over a century, or over half a century. And today I'm gonna talk about, just give a brief description of our organization, talk about our programs and services, and then our current developments and some what we're doing and plans for Federal Way. And this photo here is our little campus up on Beacon Hill that has our historic building on the left, and then our new mixed-use development on the right there, which I'll talk a little bit more about. At El Centro, we provide 43 programs and services in the areas of human and emergency services, child and youth programs, housing and economic development, education and asset building programs, and advocacy and community organizing. And the programs that we're providing specifically in Federal Way right now include veteran outreach, social services and emergency relief for military veterans, government services navigator to assist low-income residents in getting connected to programs that provide food assistance or things like help with things like utilities or other types of help for families in need. We have our early learning home visitors who support families with very young children to go to the homes and help families with books and toys and help them to develop their skills to teach young children at home. And then our youth and family homeless prevention program supporting families from falling into homelessness. And then our Business Opportunity Center that helps people start and grow a small business. And also through that program, we do financial literacy and first-time homebuyer classes. We also have a lot of youth programs going on now in Federal Way. And they include partnerships with the Federal Way School District, which includes after-school support, like and academic support at Kylo and Evergreen Middle Schools, our Hope for Youth program at Thomas Jefferson High School. our Elevart Case Management at Evergreen Middle School and Thomas Jefferson High School, helping a little more intense with children who may be more at risk of being behind on graduating or moving to the next grade. We have our Palante Substance Prevention Program at Thomas Jefferson High School, which focuses on helping educate and having kids prevent using smoking or vaping or marijuana or other types of substances. Our Si Se Puede Academy is a GED instructional program that helps young people from the ages of 18 to 21 to receive instruction and then complete their GED. We have a wonderful Animo is our pre-apprenticeship placement, so we help place young people between 18 and 24 in pre-apprenticeship programs to gain like work experience, particularly in different areas of the trades. We do summer programs, STEM opportunities, parental engagement, and we also give away $25,000 worth of scholarships to high school graduates in all of our programs, including youth who graduate from high schools in federal aid. A little bit about our developments that we've done is that it's really, we call it building the beloved community, and really how we use the built environment to build community, create a place where there's something for everyone, and create a dignified and welcoming place for everyone, whether you're a neighbor, you live there, childcare, housing, so really creating something that's an asset for the whole community. And so our first big project was Plaza Roberto Maestas Beloved Community up on Beacon Hill, and it has retail and office space, a cultural center, a plaza, and a festival street that we use for markets and economic development opportunity. It has a wonderful, wonderful amount of art, and it's permanent, like tile mosaic murals. Has 112 units of affordable or workforce housing, and then 7 classrooms of early childhood development that serve 148 children. And so our developments are really about like mixed use development, pulling together the elements of workforce housing, economic development opportunity with retail space and other opportunities for small businesses, community and cultural space and childcare, including affordable childcare for families. So our award-winning Jose Marti Child Development Center, this is actually a picture of one of the classrooms in that development. And we also have 7 classrooms at our historic building campus. We have in the International District in Seattle, we have 4 classrooms, and up in Cedar Crossing up in North Seattle, a brand new beautiful building with 4 classrooms as well. And we're doing some expansion in child development. We are we actually just opened at Beacon Pacific Village, which is up on north end of Beacon Hill near downtown in Seattle, 7 new classrooms. And then in a couple years, up in Northgate, 5 new classrooms. And then our latest development construction was just completed in December is the Four Amigos Beloved Community in the Columbia City neighborhood. And it's that kind of colorful building there on the front. And it was a partnership with a church called Church of Hope. They wanted a new building and they had land, and we partnered with them and were able to like build a new building, but also do like a mixed use development there that has 87 units of workforce housing, 4 classrooms of early childhood that serves 68 children. It has a mosaic mural art fence and some office space. And here's some photos. On the left is like a kind of a drone shot of the playground of the Child Development Center. And there to the right is like the art fence and then some tile mosaic murals there on the building as well. So we incorporated a lot of art into the development. And we also were named a partner with Mercy Housing, who's a big national developer, but have a great relationship with the local team to redevelop around the Mount Baker Light Rail Station in Seattle. And that's designed centered on the needs of families. It's going to have a satellite building of the University of Washington that's going to teach early childhood, or people who are interested in early childhood development careers and education. And so that's going to be called the University of Washington Rainier Valley Early Learning Center, and also incorporating community serving spaces, public open space with retail. It's It's going to have about 438 units of affordable workforce housing right next to the Mount Baker Light Rail Station. So it's one of the largest projects that the Office of Housing has in Seattle has funded in about the last 30 years, and we're just very proud to be one of the partners working on that project. In Federal Way, as you know, it's already been almost 3 years that El Centro purchased the Patterson Skate Rink, which is now the El Centro Skate Rink. I didn't have it on here, but want to say skate rink's doing well. It's really on a roll, forgive the pun, but it's doing well enough that we're investing in like new sound, new lighting. We're actually going to remodel all of the bathrooms, and we also got a grant to add some additional solar power because we've added some solar there. So our hope is to continue to develop that property where the old auto body shop is, which would be phase 1. And that's an indoor-outdoor market or mercado with year-round vendors. We want to make it with a commercial kitchen year-round so that vendors it's not just in the summer, but there's some indoor space so it can happen all year. With the park, that includes like a domino and chess park, and I mentioned the commercial kitchen. And the cost of that first phase is about $4.45 million. We always want to have enough funding to add like a 20% contingency, which would, because prices go up and things happen, which would put it at about $5.3 million. And so far we have about $4 million for that project. So we're almost there. We have most of the funding. Phase 2, and 3 are further down the road, and it is very, very difficult to raise funds right now. So these projects are probably a few years out, but phase 2 would be to build a El Centro Community Center with offices, some space that serves seniors, youth services, and move our youth services programs there. And then phase 3, where our current offices are, even further down the road, would be some workforce housing for individuals and families, 4-classroom childcare, and commercial space. And so that's the presentation. Again, appreciate the opportunity to give an update and be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Council President.
Thank you very much, Ms. I don't want to, can I call you Miguel? Because I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name. So where's your funding coming from? I'm just curious.
Sure. So we have, because we have such a wide range of programs, funding comes from many different sources. Obviously, we raise a lot of funds. We do a lot of fundraising, donations. We have a big gala. But also we do, we have United Way funding. We have different service contracts with city, county, or the other municipalities. We received some funding from the city of Federal Way. Some, not as much, but some state funding. So and foundation funding, foundation and corporation funding. So a lot of different funding sources that go in to what we do. And as far as the development's concerned, that was an appropriation from our national, or our Congressman Smith and Senator Patty Murray collaborated to help get some funding that is going to go to the first phase development.
I appreciate that. So one other, you talked about the domino and chess park.
Yes.
So is that like interactive, or is that just sitting down, or is it interactive where they're actually moving the body with the piece?
We haven't designed it yet, but we're open to ideas. I think, we would go through a phase where we'd get like public input, but that sounds like a great idea, actually.
Oh, well, it isn't. Sorry. It didn't work for us.
It didn't work,
No.
it's too big.
I just had to
I
tell you.
think what we had in mind was the sit down tables,
Yeah,
dominoes,
yeah, that
chess.
probably would work fine.
Good to hear it,
Yeah.
feedback if things like that weren't working.
Just
So
had to pass it on.
looks cool.
Little wizard chess from Harry Potter, so anyway. Councilmember Sefadossin.
Paul,
Oh,
go ahead. Okay.
go ahead, and Paul can follow you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for that presentation, and thank you for, we appreciate your presence in Federal Way. I'm very familiar with what you do in Seattle. And one just question, the Four Amigos, is that part named after the Gang of Four? Is that
It
where
was
that's from? Okay.
named in honor of the Gang of Four, who really were a beautiful example of multiracial unity. One of our founders, Roberto Maestas, along with Bob Santos, Larry Gossett, and Bernie Whitebear. Yeah, named in their honor. I'm going to have some nice photos and art in the development there to honor their legacy. Thank you.
Thank you. And so I have been on a couple of tours of the Beacon Hill, and I used to go to meetings up there for Beacon Development, so I'm kind of familiar. And I think since you're trying to develop in Federal Way, I would appreciate it if we can coordinate a tour of what you have up there to see what is possible down here, because I think you have a great project and your programs up there are really wonderful, so. it'd be
We
good
would
for us
love
be
to
able
host a tour if anyone's interested. Anytime folks are available, we'd be happy to show you how our developments really bring together those different elements, including the support services as well. And if anyone hasn't, I think most council members have been to our offices here in Federal Way, but if you'd like to stop by and visit there, I'd be happy to host you there as well.
I think it would help for visualization of what you guys have been doing elsewhere,
Yeah,
what you're going to bring down here.
we would love to anyone that's interested in coming down, we'd love to host. And we're actually right across the street from the Beacon Hill Light Rail, so excited about Light Rail coming to Federal Way, because that'll be another way to connect.
Right. Councilmember McDaniel.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in and for your presentation. A couple comments, questions actually to start with is how many projects or developments, you showed quite a few of them, how many do you guys actually have going on?
So we have Columbia City, a great question, thank you. We just completed Columbia City for Amigos, and then it showed our original one that was completed in 2016. We have another project right next to our campus on Beacon Hill that's going to provide about 70 units of workforce affordable housing, and we'll have like a space for senior and youth programs. That's kind of an expansion of our campus, and hoping to start construction in April or May of this year. And then the Mount Baker that I talked about, which is probably a couple years away. We're in the pre-development stages, so that one will break ground in a couple of years. So those are the two main projects that we're working on currently.
All right. And then the funding was brought up. Do you guys the funding you guys have for this phase one at the moment, you said you have about $4 million. Is that $4 million you guys have actually in hands, or has that just been written on a piece of paper and said, we'll get you the money when you have the rest?
Yeah, we're still going through some of the process of acquiring the funding. It's been designated for the project, but no, it's not in hand yet, but it's a matter of just finishing the process through I believe it's the Department of Commerce here in the state. So
Gotcha.
a little bit of work on that.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're about 1.3 million short for being able to start that potential project. When do you think you'll be able to have that additional revenue stream in order to start that project?
We don't have an exact date. We're hoping to have it within the next probably 9 to 18 months or so. As I mentioned, just it is a little challenging as far as fundraising, but we think that's a good time frame when we hope to have the remaining funds.
Okay. And then what do you think for the build-out time? So if you were able to have the money in the end of the year, let's say, just throw a number out, end of the year, how long do you think it would be before you could actually open up that potential facility?
Yeah, that first phase, my best estimate on that is probably about 12 to 15 months, maybe a little less. What's going to take longer, like the park area won't be as much, but the indoor-outdoor market area, because it'll have like a commissary commercial kitchen, that's a pretty good build out there. So probably my best guesstimate would be about 12 to 15 months, maybe not quite that long, more in the 12-month range for build out.
Now, will you be using the one parcel or the two parcels? Would that development go into the parking lot of the current skating rink, or will you be using the first two parcels?
It would be the first two. Actually, it would be like, if you can visualize it, there's like a dirt area.
In between the two?
In between, it mostly concentrated in that area, because, you know, on busy nights at the skate rink, like, all the parking is full, so, you know, don't want to, like, burden the area, you know, make sure people, when they come to skate, they have parking, so we're really looking at that area. It may go a little bit into where the auto body shop is, but that would be phase two, that area where we would look at doing the offices and the community space there.
Gotcha. Is there any planned usage for that building in between this time and stage one start time?
The auto body?
Yes.
We tried to make it useful, but it has a lot of, you know, maintenance issues, and just to make it like a functional space. And given that we want to redevelop it, you know,
Why throw
it's just
money, yeah.
costly to try and get it up and running. So at this time, we don't have any plans to use it.
Okay. The next question is on the skating rink. Is the skating rink planned long-term then, since you'll be putting some investments into that one? Do you guys plan on keeping that live for?
Yeah, we plan to keep the skate rink going, like, you know, as long as possible. There's no plans to close the skate rink. That's going to keep going.
That's always nice to know.
Yeah.
And then, the last question I had is on workforce. Now, I noticed that in the drawing, or the blueprints kind of drawing you had on the map, you had the skating rink, you had the buildings we're talking about, and then across the street was, I believe you're going to be doing the workforce housing, stuff like that. Now, is that currently, do you guys currently own that asset right there too?
So El Centro owns the first building that's the furthest west on the property.
Okay.
And we currently lease the second building and have an agreement or an option to purchase that building next year, which we plan to do. And then the rest of the property is owned by the same owner, and we've shared that we're interested in that property, and they're keeping us up to date on their plans as far as like selling it or keeping us informed of that. But we've let them know we're very interested in that as well. That ideally, having all that property would be the best for us, but you know, I think we have the first two properties already. You know, one owned and one that we have the agreement to purchase.
Gotcha. And then my last question is on workforce. How do you guys define workforce, and what does that look like?
Yeah, as far as the housing?
Yes.
Great question. Our current developments serve individuals and families that are like between 30 and 60% of area median income. And because all of our developments are in Seattle, you know, area median income is actually like, and I apologize, I don't have like the actual scale here, but it's creeping up. Every year it goes up just because of the cost of living. So you're looking at families that usually majority are working families, or you have seniors or others that may be on fixed income, but a majority would be like working families that are making like low or medium wage, but wouldn't be able to afford like rent in Seattle, or like or at a newer like market rate, you know, apartment or what have you. So it really is like folks that are maybe at minimum wage or above, you know, slightly above minimum wage, that may not be able to afford like quality housing on their own. So it's really targeting, you know, low and middle wage earners that are within that 30 to 60% area median income.
Yeah, I'm sure that's like 40 to 50,000 is.
Yeah,
you
that's
think that-
like a
Yeah.
good range in there. And it also depends on the number of family. You know, for one or two people, the AMI is lower. If you have a family with 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, then it gets adjusted upward. And we always look at building, you know, as many 2 and 3s. We try and have 2, 3s, and even at Mount Baker, we're planning 4 bedrooms, because a lot of housing that gets built new is a lot of studios, a lot of 1 bedrooms, and there's really not like affordable or workforce options for like families. So it's an option, making sure that families have an opportunity at some affordable housing options as well. And like I said, it also, like, a lot of our seniors are like within that 30 to 50% if they're like on fixed incomes. So we have a percentage of seniors as well.
Got it. The follow-up question to that one is, do you guys subsidize the rent, or do you just keep the rent locked at a certain rate to make it affordable?
So what happens is that our projects are currently like one of the funding is a lot of funding for the housing too, but they're low-income housing tax credit properties where we are part of a federal program that gives tax incentives to investors. So they'll help pay for the construction costs and they receive tax benefits over a 15-year period. So what that allows is that, but also one of the covenants, if you will, or the rules, is to maintain that affordability. So when someone moves in, they're qualified at a certain level and, the income qualify. And then we do an annual income recertification, and no one ever has to leave. Like if you do great, get a great job, you never have to leave the apartment. Your rent may be adjusted accordingly, but it's an opportunity for people to know that they have stable housing.
Understood. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right.
Appreciate the questions.
Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. About how many youth do you work with in Federal Way?
Oh, let's see. I would say, and I had numbers and I didn't put them up there. I'm just gonna, Councilmember Honda, I'm just gonna give you like my best guesstimate.
That's
But
fine.
I think we are working with about 100, or maybe about 100 in the different programs at Thomas Jefferson High School and at the 2 middle schools, approximately maybe 50 each. And then in our GED program for a little older young adults, I think we're currently serving about 51. And I don't know on our apprenticeship program, I think it may be around a couple of dozen. So I think all told, we're probably over a couple hundred youth that we're currently serving. And then our after-school programs would be included in those numbers.
The apprenticeship program, is that tied into Federal Way High School?
I think the information shared with Federal Way High School, but it's designed like for if seniors are interested in a trade, it's structured to serve youth like from 18, so once they
Once they
graduate.
graduate.
Yeah, so 18 to like 24, and then finding different partners that will provide apprenticeships like the Port and other, we've partnered with the Port of Seattle and other businesses that provide like the apprenticeship opportunities.
Oh, that's really cool. How do kids find out about those opportunities?
So we do lots of outreach, lots of at the schools and go out into community. We use social media because social media is like right now like probably one of the main ways in which young people are getting their information. So we utilize all of the social media, Instagram or other forms of social media, Twitter, things like that, to get the word out and recruit. But also word of mouth, having young people tell their friends, get the word out in the community, and then some kind of old-fashioned stuff, putting up flyers at the schools or passing out information to families that we serve.
Oh, cool. And then my last question is your markets. Can you talk about your vision for your markets?
Sure. Our vision for the market is one is the cornerstone is like to have some food vendors, because everyone loves like markets that have great food, and that's a huge draw. And so to have like diversity of like food options, but we also know like that, and it really is to help people start and grow a food business. But a big part of that is making sure that they have adequate like kitchen commissary space, because that's affordable, and because small, if you're a small business, even if you're selling out of even just a food cart, you have to have a commissary space where you're preparing. So it's that commissary, and then having, as I mentioned, like booths that work both indoors, and then in the summertime it can expand outdoors, and really just having it as a way in which anyone who's interested in coming, it would be like the way we currently work it is like a pretty reasonable like daily or monthly or yearly fee to sell at the market, open to everyone who's interested. But also if some folks are interested and they may not have the health permit, or they may not have the business license, or even if they want to create a LLC, we have our business opportunity program to help people go through those processes of getting like the city business license, all of those things, help them budget, help them create a business plan, have them understand what it means to market. So really help not only providing a space and a place and a market where people can sell food or other things, arts and crafts or whatever they may be interested in selling, but also helping people go through those steps to create a business, if you will, like a legitimate either LLC or small business entity.
And you're doing this, excuse me, already in Seattle.
Yes.
So you have the knowledge and the experience.
So in Seattle, we have some retail space that we lease out, and then we also have some food vendors that sell food in the plaza. And then we do like pop-up markets where other smaller vendors or table vendors, if you will, like in a more of a kind of a marketplace, can come and sell stuff. And we do that like during our cultural events, or if we have like big meetings or community gatherings, like, you know, that it provides a marketplace for them. And then if they go through the process of getting all of the licenses and all that, then they're set if they want to go to like other places, like, you know, festivals or big events that are hosted by different cities or municipalities or Seattle Center, things like that. They're all set.
Well, thank you for being here. And, one more question. When you build your market and your buildings down here, are you bringing art too? Because I love the art you have.
Yes, we feel that art is a huge part of building a beautiful, welcoming place for everyone. So definitely art is in the plans.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Council President.
So part of your your plan is the farmer's market, correct? Is that going to be how many days a week?
We haven't set the programming yet. I think that, so I think in the current model that we have in Seattle is that like food vendors can sell 7 days a week, and this would actually expand so that other types of vendors would have space, which we currently don't have up in Seattle. So we have a model where vendors can sell 7 days a week, but we haven't nailed down exactly like the exact like programming of the market. But I think it really is looking at having it open as much as possible. And I think, sorry, go ahead.
What we may want to do is connect with each other, because we're right in the middle of talking right now with Vicki Chenoweth as part of the committee, expanding our farmers market and possibly being in another location. We'll be at the same location for our farmers market, which is the mall, for the next year, but it may change. And so we may probably need to coordinate with each other so we don't have competing farmers markets.
That would be great. And I know farmers markets take a lot of work. Love to talk more about that. Thank you.
Maybe you could connect with Vicki, give her your card, and
all right, thank you.
Right in the back right there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. No more questions from anybody else, so that leaves me. Thank you very much for coming. I love the vision that you have. There's definitely a need for commissary space here in South King County. I know from my own experience that there's a shortage of commissary space here. And so that's much needed. With working with small businesses, getting them started, do you coordinate it all with the SBDC or their Smart Start program or anything like that, or are you entirely in-house?
No, we partner with a lot of different agencies, resources. So we found that just generally speaking, the more we can partner with folks that can support, what we do and helping folks in the community to meet their goals, the better. The partnerships are so important.
Okay.
So.
All right. And just a question, I mean, with the area where you want to have the market, where the auto shop was and that other area. I mean, is there any, I look at that and immediately my concern is two busy roads converging right there on each side. Is that a concern, or how are you how are you going to address that concern?
Yeah.
Because it is a concern, so I guess the question is, how are you going to address the
There's
concern?
lots of traffic there. I think one of the things is like, part of that is like maintaining the parking lot that's available. So at least as far as like not having to cross the street if you're going to the market. A lot of our most of our skate time is like, or a good portion of it is evening. So hopefully there's that we can have some shared parking there. And I think also, in thinking about it, how we can create in partnership with the city and transportation, like, really looking at how to create safer pedestrian access would be great.
Just wondering if you've applied for a permit.
We haven't, as far as the construction permit.
Well, I would admit, I'm not sure. John, what kind of a permit are they going to need?
Oh. Hey, Keith's out here. He might be a better one for that.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah,
Hi.
there's I'm going to phone
Oh,
a friend. His
sorry.
name is Keith.
Hey, Keith.
Good evening, Council. Keith Niven, Community Development Director. So without actually seeing the project that's coming before us, what I understand from the description is there's a few permits that are needed. One is a change of use. So that used to be a auto repair facility. It's going to now become a market. So there's a land use change associated with that. There's also then what I heard was some additions to the building itself would be part of this. That would be a building permit, tenant improvement associated with that. We've had some conversations, there's a tipping point where all of a sudden some fairly significant stormwater improvements are needed. There's different permits for the stormwater. So as they move forward and as they start to do different things, there will be different permits that will be needed from the city. And whether they come in all at once and try and get all the permits at once or do it in phases, that's usually up to the property owner to decide. But I think what I understand, if this is also part of your question, they have not necessarily come in for those permits yet because they're not ready to move forward with that part of the project.
And maybe they need to be talking with you before they move forward with plans, because it might not work.
So, without getting too far down a rabbit hole, so a majority of their project is zoned correctly. They'll have to meet building code requirements and current land use permit requirements. The part that Miguel talked about, that's the mixed use part, going, say, east of their existing office building, depending how far east you go, the zoning isn't right. So they will need to ask the city council for comprehensive plan amendment and zone change to accommodate the mixed use portion of their vision. So I think, and obviously we only do that once a year. So there needs to be some coordination to make sure we sync up right and not miss a year and then have to wait for a whole other year for that kind of legislative change to happen.
Yeah, the reason I brought this up is he's got a lot of plans, and maybe he needs to understand how the process works.
I'll just say, like, the staff at the planning department and economic development department have been great. They've been helping. We've been in communication with them. They explain very well, like, the process for, like, in the portion we will need zone change, which is like the third phase, which is still several years down the road. But they've helped us to really understand the process for phase one. And fortunately, as was mentioned, like, it's zoned correctly, and we have some pretty good partners as far as like development consultants and architects that really understand all those details and make sure that we're working closely with the city to get everything done appropriately.
All right. Entonces, muchas gracias y estamos muy felices que estamos haciendo todo aquí en Federal Way.
Muchas gracias, muy bien. Thanks so much again for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next, the agenda item that was that was added. Should the city approve the senior center's request for $30,000? And will that be, sounds like it will be not be Keith, it will be Chris. All right.
Good evening, City Council members, Council President. Tonight, per our 2025-26 Human Services General Fund grant process, there is a request that's been made to approve funding of the Senior Center. Policy question, should the City Council approve the Senior Center's request for $30,000? On September 30th, 2024, there was a Human Services Grant Fund public hearing. During this hearing, the Human Services General Commission shared their 34 recommendations out of the 84 applicants that was received. There was also $34,000 available in contingency at this time. On October the 15th, at the City Council public hearing, final recommendations were decided, which included withholding funds from the day center, if you remember, until further notice. There was also a decision to fund St. Vincent Paul $3,056 from the contingency funds to fully fund their request. Today, February 11th, there's a request to consider funding the Senior Center $30,000, which would come from the contingency funds. Now, we have the options and mayor's recommendations. Number one is to approve $30,000 from the seniors for the Senior Center. Number two, request the Human Services Commission to revisit the 2025-26 unfunded applications and provide the City Council with a recommendation for allocating the contingency funds. And three, do not fund the Senior Center and reserve the contingency funds. Mayor's recommendation is option number one.
Thank you. Councilmember Honda.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for being here to present this. I
Sure.
appreciate it. This was brought to my attention, as I believe it was also brought to the chair's attention several weeks ago. And I appreciate that we are here talking about it tonight. I would urge support of this. As we heard from Tom, who is at the Senior Center, a lot of this money would go for their cook. And sometimes the only meal that some of these seniors get is that meal that they get at the Senior Center. So I think this is really important to support them and to fund them this funding. Thank you.
Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, just a couple quick questions. So the senior center we're talking about, is this the one that's located in Auburn, or is this a different facility?
It has a Auburn address, but it's in an
The one we call-
unincorporated federal way. It's in our annexation.
So that's the one that we refer to
potential
when we say
annexation area.
Federated Senior Center?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And my only other question is, does the senior center receive any other funding at the moment from the city?
Not through the grants. I know the mayor funds them, I think, with a donation.
Is that the
At
same that
Christmas
we
time,
do?
it was that
Correct.
19,500
Same one we do for the
for the
multi-center?
MSC, yeah.
Okay.
Correct,
That was my only questions. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Seth Dawson.
Yeah, I do support the project, so my question really has to do with this 30,300 and, what was the amount? I'm sorry. 30,900 of contingency is what we had left from the 25-26 funding allocation?
Sorry, the 30,000?
30,000.
34,000?
Correct, 34,900, I think. So, yeah, 34,000. So my question is, we just started 2025, and it seems like we're spending all of it already. So maybe the question is for Keith, since you're new, I don't know, but what if something comes up that's of urgent need between now and the end of 2026, when this funding cycle ends?
Can you expand on that a little bit?
So we have the
Like-
two-year funding cycle.
Correct,
And this
biennial.
was the funds that were left over from that funding cycle.
Right.
Right? So what I'm saying is, we're just now into January of '25, and we're spending all of it, practically.
Yep.
So if there's any urgent need or emergency for human services, we have nothing left. So what is our plan between now and end of 2026?
To fund like an emergency Like a
Just
request
asking.
or, yeah, sure.
So that's a great question. I think typically, the human service grants have been allocated to their extent with zero contingency. This was actually a little bit of an anomaly this year to kind of have some leftovers. I think to your point, council member, if there were something that were to come up and the contingency remained, you could fund it out of the contingency, assuming it met the criteria that was set by the council. If the contingency is spent, then it would have to come from another source from the general fund.
So I'm sorry, so that's going to leave $900?
There will be about $900 left if the council chooses to fund the senior center at $30,000.
So can we fund them at $30,900? I'm going against my question, but. And bring it to zero then at this point, or?
So the council
Question, I guess.
Council can decide what they want to decide. As a reminder, there were approximately 50 agencies that did not get funding at all.
Right.
So that's up to you guys to allocate your revenue the way you want to.
This was the next one on the list with the scoring, though, correct?
Correct.
But we would never fund an agency at $900, would we? Wasn't there a limit as to what,
Max of 50.
or wasn't there a
So
minimum?
The Human Services Commission set a cap to try and spread the money out to as many agencies as possible. I think they didn't fund anybody beyond 50,000. Is that correct, Chris?
Correct.
Yeah.
But there's no minimum?
There's no minimum.
So,
I think in practice, though, I think that 5,000 was the minimum that was actually funded, though, correct?
I mean, at $900, there's a lot of paperwork to get $900.
Generally, we don't exceed the amount requested, so we'll have to look at, see what the senior center requested as well at that time,
Oh, what did they request?
so.
Okay.
30,000.
Oh, so they requested 30,000?
Right, so that would be fully funding.
Do you guys want 900? Okay.
So, all right. All right, with no other, go ahead, Susan.
Oh, I was going to make the motion.
Go ahead.
I move to forward the request to the February 18th, 2025 business agenda for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Could we
Oh.
just reiterate the senior center that it's for? Because when you say senior center
Yeah.
and we're approving it, we need
But
to,
this is the Federal Way Senior Center, which is in the
just say east of the freeway,
east of the freeway.
just so you
Yes, east of the
identify it.
freeway.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
So, all right. Okay,
Did I
been
second?
moved and seconded?
Second.
Yeah. Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, going on to item C, fiscal year 2024 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assessment Grant, JAG Program, Grant Award Acceptance MOU Contract. And is it Ms. Shines? Have you presented?
Yes,
You-
yes.
So,
Good evening, council. My name is Diane Shines. I'm the Civilian Operations Manager for the Police Department. And also, I'm the Grant Manager for the U.S. Department of Justice Grant Assistant Program. The policy question before you this evening: should the City of Federal Way accept the fiscal year 2024 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant Award and MOU contract? The Federal Way Police Department has been allocated a project award of $38,498 by the JAG program. Acceptance of the grant requires no matching funds, and there will be minimal impact to city funds by accepting the grant. Any costs not covered by the grant will be minimal and absorbed by the police department's operating budget. The Federal Way Police Department will use grant funds to support 6 key projects aimed at enhancing public safety, operational efficiency, and community engagement. Funds will be used to purchase a pursuit intervention technology equipment, specifically a pit bumper guards designed to protect patrol or police vehicles from damage during training. We also intend.
If we can pause for just one moment.
Sure.
Maybe we can fix it so that the camera's on her rather than displaying the,
Click share.
okay.
Okay.
So now if there's people watching somewhere, they can actually watch. So, okay. Sorry about the interruption, but I thought there
That's
was,
okay. So also part of the projects, the installation of Star Chase bumper-mounted GPS tracking system for patrol vehicles. Purchase rifle-rated protection plates for officers. Add a concrete pad and roof to the outdoor temporary animal shelter. A NIBRS online training program, and finally, order supplies and giveaways to enhance connections with the community for social engagement and recruiting events. On behalf of the Police Department, we are requesting approval for the fiscal year 2024 JAG Grant Award acceptance and MOU. Thank you.
all right, thank you. Councilmember Seffa Dawson?
Yeah, just curious, with federal funds coming down the pipe where there are a lot of programs on the chopping block, I think this may be one of those, so how are we gonna manage if that was to happen?
Yeah, good question. At this point, we don't have any information whether this is going to continue. Our hope is that nothing will change. So at this time, I don't have an answer for you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. The rifle-rated protection plates,
Yes.
I have always thought and fought for the very best equipment that is available for our officers. Is this the very best, and is there anything better than this that we should be looking at?
This was part of the projects that were brought to our attention from our patrol staff. And so, yeah, we do believe that this is a very important equipment for our officers. My understanding is we do have this also listed in the budget, but when we were designing what projects we wanted to spend the money on, coming up with projects, that was one of them. So it is very important, and it would certainly, obviously, allow us to support our officers and give them added protection.
So this would only be for SWAT and SOU?
At the time, it could be for SWAT and SOU, but really, we would just give it to any officer that's, interested in having the protection.
Because in the budget we just passed, we passed better ballistic vests.
Right, it's the same equipment that we're asking for.
Okay.
So, my understanding is for this year at least that we would probably outfit maybe a third of our officers, so we can easily use this money in order to provide more for the current year.
So with the SWAT team, because it's a regional SWAT team, do and I've never thought of this before until just now, so every city has so many officers on the SWAT team. Are they equally equipped with the same equipment, or does every city provide different equipment for their SWAT officers?
Good question. I think every agency, to my understanding maybe, that they would provide, each agency would provide their equipment. I don't know if they have like a combined budget where they would, buy supplies for SWAT. I really don't know. And as far as the equipment for our SWAT and SOU, it's designed specifically just for Federal Way police officers on the SWAT team or SOU.
Interesting. I would actually be interested in finding out more information about that.
Sure.
I would hope that they're all equally protected, and if not, we should work towards that, in my opinion. I wouldn't want one SWAT officer to have something that's more protective than another one.
For sure.
I have a son who's on his SWAT unit, and It scares me to death, but I know that he is well-trained and well-protected, and I would want everyone to be.
I highly agree.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, I'm looking at the amount, only 38,000. Do you know how many protected plates that's going to cover?
I think each plate, depending on which kind the officer
Configuration.
wants, if it's front and back, it could be up to 1,000 per person.
Okay. Do we have, like, I see that we have the push, we have force starch. Is it whatever money's left over that will be used for that, or do we have a set amount that we're putting aside for the chest and the back plates?
For the JAG grant, we only have $14,080 allocated for this particular project. And then the entire fund, or the entire allocation, is divided up between other projects.
Okay. I have no question. Thank you.
All right. I don't have any further questions. Do we have a motion?
I move to forward the proposed J Grant Award Acceptance and MOU contract to the February 18th, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
You too.
Next, item D, lease agreement between Bali Road LLC and City of Federal Way for the downtown police station, substation. And, sorry, Autumn. So Commander Hodges, the commander with the biggest smile.
I thought I almost got out of it, but I guess I will present. Thank you. Hello, City Council. I am Thaddeus Hodge, Commander with the Federal Way Police Department, and I have the honor of presenting for the Police Department today. The subject is the lease agreement between Bali Road LLC and the City of Federal Way for the downtown police substation. Policy question is, should the City of Federal Way renew a lease agreement with Bali Road LLC for the Federal Way Police Department, Federal Way PD downtown substation? Financial impact. The cost of the city for leasing the substation was included within the approved budget under the police department. In accordance with the approved budget, this item is funded by the general fund. Utilities are included, so there'll be no additional costs. Background. Since 2015, there was agreement between the leasing company and City of Federal Way for the use additional space, identified as the Federal Way Police Downtown Substation. This space was used primarily for the traffic section, special operation unit, as well as other officers for various police-related matters. Bali Road LLC will provide secure office space, which includes designated parking for police vehicles. Federal Way PD officers will use this space for administrative tasks, and when available, provide assistance with law enforcement issues arising at or near the transit center. The term of the proposed agreement is from January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Additionally, it is very nice to have the presence of officers down there. Not only do they, SOU and the traffic unit use it, it's also used for officers to take breaks. And we also know that the visibility of officers downtown, especially around the substation, is very important. When people come into town, they like to see the police station, they like to see police cars, and they feel secure. Not only is it a visible deterrent, it's also a resource. People who would come in town, they don't know what a police station is, they don't have to come all the way here to get assistance. They can walk across the street and go to the police department. There's a phone there for emergency 911 where they can call police officers. There's mostly manned throughout the day, Monday through Friday, where they can get quick assistance. It is a great resource. We've been using it. People have gone over there instead of come to the substation. It is nice to have officers downtown. We, as the command staff and the chief, we want our officers to always be out in the street. They go there to write their reports, they go there to eat, they go there a secure place to use the bathroom when they can. So it's a nice resource to have for our officers in the city and for the community who comes in and sees the police department. That is the end of my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Councilmember Honda.
Thank you. I do have questions. So, when you come in and you see the police sign on the building, you think that there's a police office in there, because there is, but it's not open to the public. So my question is, when light rail is open and we have the hundreds of thousands of people using light rail and getting off at that station for up to 10 years, would we want to have that office accessible to people who might have a need for a police officer? Would we want it open to the public at that point?
That is a good question, and that's not a question I can answer. I'm sure the chief would be better able to answer that question, but even though it's not open for people to go there, people do go there. They knock on a door. If there's an officer there, the officer will come out and help them. Just because people can't go inside physically does not mean they don't get assistance when they go there and the officer is there. Especially if they're somewhere there eating their lunch or using the bathroom, the officer will help them. And also there is a phone out there for people to dial 911, and having the police sign up there is a visible deterrent, like I said before, but it's also an area where people can come when they need help, and the phone is there, and it makes it a lot easier for us to find them in time of need.
So the phone is inside the building?
It's outside the building.
Oh, it's outside?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's even better. So they can't get into the building without using the
Throughout, they
phone?
can't get inside the police substation. They can get inside the building during business hours. It's unlocked during business hours, Monday through Friday, where they can walk up to the police glass and knock on the door. After hours, it is locked, just like any other business where you have to use a phone for 911 emergencies.
Can I ask how often that phone is used? Do you know?
I don't know, ma'am.
Okay.
I've been out of patrol for a while, but I know when I was in patrol, it was used quite often. People would call all the time for us to go down there for assistance. They would always come knocking on the door, just because it's so close to the transit center,
Right.
and they saw the police, they knew some place to go, so it was used quite a bit.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for being here tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember McDaniel.
Yeah, just to verify, so there is no set hours of being manned, it's pretty much hit or miss if someone's gonna actually be there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then we pay $3,700 a month for that one. Do you know what we pay for the location on Pack Highway?
I do not, sir.
Do not, okay. Is that the same kind of arrangement?
It is not, sir. The one down on Pack Highway is a gym. It's not a substation where people go down there for resources. It's for officers to go work out.
Gotcha.
I believe that the one on Pack Highway is actually donated.
Yeah.
Is it?
it's
It's donated. Tom Cantrell, the owner of the building, donates it to the
To the city?
police. Yeah, to
Okay,
the city.
well, that answers my question. I guess it costs nothing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so, all right. Councilmember Stephen Dawson.
Yes, I'm curious, if no one is at that building when someone calls, would it ring at the
Oh, it
station
doesn't
here?
ring, it rings to the 911.
Okay.
That phone goes directly to 911, and they will dispatch it, saying that there is someone at the downtown substation, and usually if someone's inside, they'll come out and help them, or we will actually go down there to them. Having them in that area, knowing where they're at, is a lot easier to respond to, knowing they're at the substation and trying to find them.
Okay, no, that's great, okay, thank you.
All right.
So that's 24-hour,
Yes, ma'am.
24/7, right? Yeah, thank you.
Council President.
Oh, I would,
Okay, all right. All right, thank you. It sounds like it is great having it there, and it's been there for a lot of years, so thank you for your presentation. With that, do we have a motion?
I move to forward the proposed lease agreement between Bali Road LLC and the City of Federal Way for the Federal Way Police Department downtown substation to the February 18th, 2025 consent agenda for approval.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. All right, Autumn, now you're up. So, the item E, Washington State Department of Corrections Master Agreement Amendment Class 5 Community Restitution Programs.
It is a mouthful, yes. Good evening, committee members, council president. Autumn Gressett, Community Relations Liaison and Contract Administrator. The item before you is the Washington DOC Master Agreement. This is just the amendments that we do every single year. One thing I wanted to make note of is in your packet, there was currently The project periods listed on page 59, 61, 65, 68, and 71 list December 1st, 2024 through 11/30/2025. We are proposing to make an amendment to today's action item and consent item to adjust those to 2/1/2025 through January 31st, 2026. That brings us current based off the signing date and then carries us through just to the first month of next year.
Can you say those dates again?
Yes, I certainly can. Currently, they are listed at December 1st, 2024 through November 30th, 2025. I am proposing that we adjust those project periods to February 1st, 2025 through January 31st, 2026. So it gives us a full calendar year versus having to come back and talk to you about this again in November for a quick 2-month update. What that means for an update is just simply to the motion, and I would lean on Adam for this if there's any corrections, but the current council motion is I move to forward the proposed amendments to the February 18th, 2025 consent agenda for approval. My proposal is to add with revised project dates in that to capture that, and then I can provide Mary with the adjusted page ones for City Council next week. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
It does not look like we have any questions.
All righty. I move to forward the proposed amendments to the February 18th, 2025 consent agenda for approval with the revised dates of 2/1/25 and 1/31/2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, and once again, item F, Federal Way Community Center locker room renovations update. How's it going?
It is going well. We started progress on 2/3, so February 3rd is when our contractor was officially on site after council approval and issuing a notice to proceed on January 22nd. They have currently finished all of the HVAC demolition that needed to be done, and we're starting to work on plumbing as well as some saw cutting to repair the plumbing per specified plans. In their contract, they do have 129 working days. What that means currently is that puts us out at July 25th. As we navigate this construction project and as we work with our contract, we will be back periodically, probably more often than not, to update you on the progress and our anticipation of being able to hopefully move that date up closer to what our anticipated end date was. And that is all of the information that I have.
Right, so moving in the right direction then.
Correct.
Okay. All right, Councilmember McDaniel.
What was the original anticipated closing date for the?
We wanted to
opening
shoot
date?
for May 31st, 2025.
Okay, so it's the date, the adjusted date on here is what the original was, the May 31st?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Councilmember Honda?
So to get back to the May 31st date, which I think is important to hold to, could we be working on weekends?
There is several options that are open to the discretion of our contractor. We are working closely with them to try and anticipate any and every possibility to move up that date. Right now, I don't foresee that we will have some weekends working. The only reason for that is it does require or come with a higher cost because of prevailing wage and weekend rates. So it would change the value of the contract. But again, it's at our contractor's discretion at this current time, and we'll provide that update should they choose to move forward with those.
So there's no way we could adjust the contract that, I mean, it just seems to me that, I realize it's only 2 months, but it's 2 months, and this has been going on for a very long time, so. All right, thank you.
All right.
I have a follow-up on that. Do you know, would it be possible to find out what the additional costs would be?
We could certainly look into it, but I will tell you that based off of the unanticipated damage that we found when we did the demolition and everything else, we were managing a budget very stringently, and it'd be a significant increase to go to all weekends. If I remember correctly, prevailing wage is somewhere in the 2 times what we're paying per hour. So I think at this point, we're trying to get through the first few weeks and see how much progress we can make quickly and then reevaluate before we make those determinations or have that deeper conversation.
And my assumption would be the next update will be in April then when we have the next parks?
Yes, but yes, if we coming to you at a committee, correct.
Okay. Then I'd be interested by that point, I guess we figured out that, because then it's only a month away, and if you can get the weekends, that's a different story.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I hear you.
All right. Thank you for the information. And then going on to the PAC operations report. Item 8G.
I am no Stacia, but I will do my best. To get this show up in one moment. Again, Autumn Gressick, Contract Administrator and Community Relations Liaison for the Parks Department. On behalf of Stacia Winters and the PAC, I am going to provide the PAC monthly update and happy to relay any questions that I may not be able to answer and get those back to you. For December, they had 6,708 attendees with a year-to-date total of 38,106. Theater tickets sold was 2,900 with a year-to-date of 20,625. You can see for December, 19 usage days that showcases both theater and event space. Theater usage is highlighted in green here, Frindle being some of our Arts for Youth performances, and then the blue being event spaces, which spans anywhere from the Federal Way Youth Symphony meetings to chamber luncheons and finance holiday banquets and Santa breakfast. The event highlight for December that Stacia wanted to highlight was the Arts for Youth presentation, Frindle, presented by Arts Foundation Federal Way. This event hosted 1,646 students and 251 teachers across 2 days. And then all third grade classes in the Federal Way Public School System were able to attend this one. Some accommodations offered for this specific performance were sign language interpreter and sensory-friendly spaces for students that needed to exit the theater. These are actuals for December. They have just closed their December financials, and I know Stacia will be back with a full year-end report that expands much greater into these numbers in April when we see you again. But for December, they had $108,000 in ticket revenue, $42,000 in rental revenue, $10,000 in facility fees. Food and beverage revenue was about $74,000 for a gross of $235,000. Total event expenses for the year before they closed officially was $1,485,775, with operating expenses at $1,382,186, with a total investment of $991,657. And then as far as their goals, they reached 107% of attendance, so they will receive that incentive. Their community events, they only reached 40%. Usage days was 100%. Under revenue generation, there's 4 different categories within their contract. Food and beverage, theater, and event space, you can see they exceeded significantly. And then ticket revenue, they came close and were 98% of their 100% goal. Event types, again, 4 different categories. Weddings, they had 1 of the 4 that were within their contract last year. Banquets and meetings, nonprofit, and Arts for Youth, they exceeded their goals. And then I'm happy to answer any questions or jot them down so I can get them to Stacia.
All right. Wow. No questions?
I don't have a question.
Oh, Susan, go ahead. I mean, I don't think we've never had no questions on a PAC report, so they were just trying to be nice to you, Autumn.
Thank you.
It's not a question, it's just an observation. The Nutcracker, I'm glad to see that it was the best out of all of the events, ticket-wise. My daughter used to dance the Nutcracker down at Dumas Bay, and we sold out every show and had people lined up to see if there was a seat that opened up. So I'm glad to see Federal Way still wants the Nutcracker. And maybe next year we can get 2 dates instead of 1.
Absolutely.
Because we were there, it was packed.
It was. I was there as well, and I know Green Kiev has every intention of putting more roots down here in Federal Way, and especially at the Performing Arts Center.
So, but thank you. I am glad that they were there, and hope that they come back and we have 2 shows or more. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Stacia. All right, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
And the things that Stacia does to make it so she doesn't need to come here, anyway.
Yeah, we're happy to help support her in her time off right now.
So, all right. Any other business before the committee?
Actually, Chair, there is some items. There is an event or a group that myself and Councilmember Sefa Dawson had been able to look at that we're going to send you an email on. We'd like to see if they could present maybe at one of the future meetings coming up. So I'll pass it on to you later today.
Okay. All right. Very well. Our next meeting, as has been reported earlier, we will not be having a March meeting. Our next meeting will be April 8th, 2025 at 5 p.m. right here. And with that, we are adjourned.